that cup was not so easy, especially looking at the parts, the amount of teams they had to play. Hello, good evening, everyone. This is Taiwo Nojobi, once again your host on Land Owners Maple Sports. We're here, to give you some of the best analysis going on across the world of NBA, the world of hockey, the world of football, some of the Premier League highlights. We also cover some space for smart hockey talk. So this is 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Quite cold around here, but I like to say today is a good day. Take a chance, want more, be amazing, pursue your passion, and finally, try to make a difference. The NBA world has gone through major competition at mid-season, and that's the NBA Cup, and congratulations to the New York team. They were outstanding. The New York Knicks played like their whole life depended on it, and I'm also part of the few people that believes that they need to actually raise a banner in New York in the MSG. I know the owners of the New York team are not really in support of raising a banner, but that cup was not so easy, especially looking at the parts, the amount of teams they had to play through to get to the final, and now they've won something good. And shout out to them. Shout out to Jalen Brunson. Had a wonderful game, and I think he's the first New York player to ever win the MVP of the NBA Cup, because the cup is just 3 years old, and he's the first New York Knicks player to ever win it. And shout out to him. But it is what it is, and they've got the opportunity to win that silverware, even though everybody knows that the championship is the goal. But at least this is the opportunity to touch something that resonates with them at a very high level. So today I'll be focusing a bit more on the Week 10 NBA Power Ranking. I noticed that the Power Ranking helps me to be able to touch on at least the top 10 teams based on performance, because at the beginning of the season, it was very difficult for you to know which team will come out tops, especially with the way the Detroit Pistons are playing at a very high level right now in the West. I mean, in the East, but in the West now, Oklahoma was not a big surprise. Everybody knew they were going to be number one, and they were going to kind of give everybody the opportunity to see them try and challenge, and go for a repeat of getting to the championship, and also they now has what it takes to win championship, especially feeling it once. Now they don't want to be far away from it. They want to find a way to to get to the final again. But I really like what I'm seeing from the Oklahoma City Thunder. So looking at my Week 10 power ranking, I'll also put it on the screen much later. Oklahoma City is playing at a very elite level. They noticed a bit of a setback a couple of weeks ago, where they faced a very, very good San Antonio Spurs team in the NBA Cup, and some of their weaknesses were exposed. Even though most of the losses that they've experienced this season were single-digit losses, either they lose by 2, or they lose by 4, or lose by 5, it still means that it's a very compact and very good team. Any team that beats them automatically knows that team is going to give them a run for their money. So far from what I've seen, I see that they are going to be having some good challenges coming from the Western Conference. Eastern Conference is pretty much okay, because they didn't get the opportunity to get to the final and face a very good Eastern team, which is the New York Knicks, which I feel the Oklahoma City Thunder would have defeated them hands down. But from what I'm seeing, I like the way the San Antonio Spurs went into that game with a lot of confidence. It shows that that's another young, hungry team, and it's already creating some kind of direction in the league. The league now begins to understand that a younger team will be able to probably go far and achieve so much more than an older veteran team. Even though these guys are experienced, but they may still not be able to go as far as a younger team that is determined, focused, and know where they are going. And that's what we're seeing right now in the league. And this is going to go very, very long. It looks as if there's another rivalry being created by the San Antonio and Oklahoma City Thunder, because there's definitely a combination of some kind of domineering push coming from the bigs, especially on those two teams, Chet Ongram and Victor Wembanyama. Those two guys, it looks like they really don't. They are not really fans of each other. They want to be able to compete, with each other at a very high level. And those are some of the things we'll be seeing in the future, especially when most of their top guys retire. Those two guys will be going at each other a bit more in the Western Conference. So far, the Oklahoma City are 25-3, still playing at a very high level. But from my top 10 ranking, I feel they are still not tested because some other analysis shows the reason why today they've only lost 3 games out of 31. Now, the West is stronger because the West have 62-48, especially when they have faced the Eastern team. But I've said it from the beginning of the season. The Eastern Conference is weaker, much weaker, because key players are going through major injuries. And if you look at it, it's still a multi-year trend. A lot of things will still change week by week. Boston has played 19 games versus winning teams, and they've won a good number of them. So Boston is the only team in the East that has played a very high number of winning teams. Now, Oklahoma City, the reason why they are successful and they are where they are is because they've only faced 7 winning teams. And these are teams that are above 500 that can challenge, that also have what it takes to be able to challenge for championship. So right now, I can say clearly that Oklahoma City has only faced 7 winning teams, but they've faced other teams that automatically you expect a good team to win. So momentum can swing anytime. I like what I'm seeing with the New Orleans Pelicans. I'd said a couple of weeks ago that since when they changed their new coach, the new coach still has not gotten it right. But the moment he started bringing their top player from the bench. You understand, Zion. Since when Zion started coming from the bench, the team has changed. Also, since when their top point guard Jordan Poole came back from injury, the team has improved also as well. So I feel that because they've won 4 straight now, I think they've won 4 or 5 in their last. They also won their last match, which was yesterday. So it means that something is beginning to happen within the Pelicans team. Zion is healthy, but he's no more starting. He's coming from the bench. Jordan Poole is back from injury and is playing at a very high level. They've already developed a star in Quinn. Quinn is also playing well. Sadiq Bey is also playing at a very high level. So something new is coming up in the Pelicans. The only thing is they are beginning to get this chemistry a bit late. And it looks like they are beginning to listen to the coach a bit better. The coach is now beginning to push his agenda to them. And I'm seeing that materialize in some kind of chemistry, which can help the team, push in the second half of the season. As we're approaching the festive period, a lot of teams are beginning to double up. Because by January we'll kind of have a feel of who would challenge in the postseason, except maybe a team just goes on a 12 or 13 points run. 13 wins, just go on a sudden run. But so far, we can see that Oklahoma City is going to make a lot of noise in the postseason. So, looking at the schedule generally, tie by tie, tier by tier, you can see that Oklahoma City will still be number one on any NBA power ranking. You see, they're still the best team based on net rating. They are doing plus 15.8. But, cracks are showing because they are beginning to face some winning teams. And now they've lost 3, within their last few games. They also won today, was expected against Memphis. And, we're just looking at the way things are going. And hopefully, they're able to still rack up some wins between now and the end of the season. Even though their offense has dipped a bit to 106.6, they used to be in the early 116, 117, but right now they've dropped to 106.6 offensive rating in their last 3 games. And that's the worst stretch they've had in the entire season. But, every team has its own weaknesses. And, one of the things that they also have to learn from is they still have draft capital. So generally they can swing for some moves just to give them what I call that extra insurance. Because if any major injury happens to their key players, like a J-Dub who came in a bit late this season because he had a surgery earlier in the season, if for some reason one injury happens to J-Dub or SGA, that team cannot get to the final. It's as simple as it is, because they need those guys to be used to be utilized a lot more even in the postseason. Right now, I don't even feel they are getting the kind of rest they need to be getting after winning the championship. So it shows that those guys need to come in and play at a high level. The good thing is they're resting SG in the fourth quarter a bit more, which is good. So he gets the rest. But every player at that level wants to keep playing. But they've really not had any, injury challenge so far. But I like the way the team is going, and I believe that they can challenge for more teams. So they're still number one on my list. Oklahoma City remains number one. The dominance will continue. And for their next 6 to 8 games, it will reveal a lot more on their ceiling because they're going to be facing a lot of winning teams in their next few games. And let's still see whether they're going to be able to challenge a bit more as they continue to face these games. Denver will be number two for me. They're still playing at a high level. Week in, week out, I've talked about the fact that Valanciunas is giving the Joker the opportunity to rest has also helped the team. And the Joker is playing at a very high level. Jamal Murray is very healthy. He has no injury scare this time around. So there's now what I call offensive power. Even though he drives the ball from the back, the offensive power is coming and is also able to push a bit more. Jamal Murray is having career efficiency at about 63.1%, on his efficiency ratio. And they also have depth. They have one of the best cutters in the league in Bruce Brown, who has come back to the team and is also helping them at a very high level. Christian Brown is still injured as well, but hopefully he gets better before the postseason because they also need that depth and rotation coming from him before the postseason kicks in. So the storyline for me is the Denver Nuggets are battle tested. One of the teams that they've also suffered a bit this season is the Houston Rockets. I think they met 3 times, but they've beaten them twice. The third time, Houston Rockets had to really dig deep to get just that extra win, and that was because some of their players had a poor shooting night. So it shows that they are battle tested and they still have what it takes to try to grind out some results before the end of the season. So that's why I left them as number two. They're still a very good team. New York Knicks are number three for me on my power ranking, and the reason why is because they are the new NBA Cup champions. It means that you can't disrespect them. You still have to bring them up on this list. They moved some spaces up, and remember that the East is also very weak. Apart from the Pistons are not playing. I can't disrespect them. They're not playing. But what I need New York to do a bit more is they need to be able to beat winning teams with very, very good margin. And when I mean good margin, for them to show that they want to be able to challenge a team like the Pistons, they need to beat winning teams in Boston with very comprehensive margin. I'm talking about 10, 15 points. It's not just about winning with 2, 3 points because you can still mess it up and lose those matches. Win them with like 10, 15 points to show us that you can challenge a bit more in the East. So since the Emirates Cup, they've been 8-1 in their last 9 meaningful games, which means they've won 8 of 9, which is very, very good for them. Defensive rating has improved for them. They are doing about 136 defensive rating in key lineup minutes across board. Their corner three explosion has also been good. They have about 5.3 makes per game, and they are on pace for an NBA record because that has not really happened in a long time. So for me, I can say that the New York team they are going on a winning path. They are beginning to imbibe the culture of the coach. Coach Mike Brown has always been a very fast coach, and I'm seeing them play at a very, very fast pace. Last year, they used to be a team that is slow, even though they were very good shooters, but they used to be a bit slow. But right now, they've added a bit of pace and they're a bit more efficient, and that has led to an NBA Cup championship, which they just won a few weeks ago. But let's still see how it goes, and that's why I kept them as number three because you can't disrespect the NBA Cup champions. It's not easy to get to that final. Even beating San Antonio Spurs, they had to have a very, very good shooting night to defeat a team that had Wembanyama, who is one of the best rim protectors that you have in the league as of today. Detroit Pistons are still number four. They still have elite defense. They have a couple of young guys that are so strong. They kind of mirror the Oklahoma City team. So you have the team that is number one in the East and the team that is number one in the West with fairly young guys, average age between age of 21 and 26. Young guys with a few veterans just to guide them as they go on. They are still doing an elite 109.7 on number two in offensive rating. And when you're talking about elite resilience of the team, they're number one. They've had 8 comeback wins after trailing by 10 plus, which means that they've played with teams where they were trailing by over 10 points and they came back to still win. They've had 8 of that this season. It shows a team that is very dedicated and continues to believe up until the last whistle that they can get it done. They also have paint dominance, and that's been very good based on Durant's performance. They are doing plus 13.9 per game on the boards, which means that that's a team that challenges at the board. Cunningham is also having a very good time, one of the best performance you are seeing from a young guy who has also gotten a Nike endorsement for the city of Detroit. I'm really happy for him. Their shooting volatility has also improved. You cannot talk about the Pistons team and you won't talk about their shooting volatility. It's off the roof, very very impressive, and they find a way to grind out those ugly wins. Even if there was a match they won by just 3 points, and I saw what they went through, how they were able to grind, by the post and get those wins back. I decided to coin a key storyline for them. They are built for playoff basketball for me. They are built for it. Last season was so bad because they had to get to game 7 with New York Knicks. But this time around, I feel that they are ready with a very good coach, Becker staff, and hopefully they're able to push a bit and give us some fun basketball in postseason. San Antonio definitely, San Antonio team go to the final of the NBA Cup. They're also a very good team, and they handed over, a loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder. So you will see that that's a very very good team. They have what it takes to be able to make a lot of noise in the postseason. And some of the reasons, based on my analysis, is Wembanyama returning has given that team confidence. And these young boys are not playing. We have Dylan Harper playing very well. We have Vassell, all those guys. Now we have Harrison Barnes. It's more like a revived Harrison Barnes. He's been in the league for a while. At least he's been in the league for more than a decade, but he's playing like one of those young guys. He has been well integrated into the team. A couple of years ago, when San Antonio went for him, I was surprised why they were going for an older player in Harrison Barnes, but they've gone for him and he has really improved the team. His 3 point shooting is at a very high level now, and I like what I'm seeing from him. So they've done about 88.3 allowed per 100 in his minutes since when Wembanyama came back. It means that their their game has been fully elevated since he came back, and I like what I'm seeing from the San Antonio team. So now, if you are closing up, Darren Fox too has really integrated to the team. You have Dylan Harper, the rookie guy playing at a very high level. You have Vassell, you have Harrison Barnes, and you have Wembanyama. They are all playing very well. We also have Castle. We can't talk about this team and you won't talk about Stephen Castle. Stephen Castle is playing well and they're defending at a very high level. So I like the coach Mitch. He's doing a very good job. Shout out to him for what he's doing. They've had 6 straight real wins, trending upward very, very fast for the team. And looking at everything, it means that the West, the West is going to be tough. It's going to be a big battle in the postseason for the West because all these teams that are playing at a very high level are teams in the West, and they're still not topping their team even with some of these ratings and some of these numbers that I'm calling. So they are becoming what I call a two-way monster. That team is becoming a two-way monster. They would definitely challenge anybody. On the defensive side, you have Wembanyama. Then you have 2 young guards that are running very fast. You have Vassell, Dylan Harper, Harrison Barnes as a forward, you know, putting the ball in the basket, scoring threes. And this season is making most of his threes. So I'll keep San Antonio Spurs as number 5 on my NBA ranking. Houston Rockets will remain as number 6. They need to improve on a lot. They've lost more than 5 games with just less than 5 points. So it means that when it comes to late game execution, they struggle a bit. They are effective all throughout the game, but late in the game is where a lot of games have been taken away from them. If you look at them, they've had 3 straight overtime losses, and all of them they collapsed in the overtime. So those are the things. So if I like to use this analogy, if you are going to go far, then go well. You understand? Because a lot of people don't appreciate effort; they appreciate results. So if you're a team like Houston Rockets and you are made for the postseason, then you need to be able to make these last moments count so that at the end of the day you are celebrated the right way. Now, we know that the team does not cheat the organization or the franchise when it comes to effort. They give the fans a lot of, you know, things to watch out for. They give the fans a lot of effort, but you need to now back it up with results. So what you now need to do is that's where the defensive coach comes in. Make a few adjustments and try to get those results. And that's what helped Oklahoma get to the final last season. They faced a lot of tough teams, but being able to to get it done when it counts, especially in the final third, and that's where the celebration really comes in for a team like Houston. They've had a bit of defensive slippage, about 120 plus allowed in 4 of their last 9 games. They are allowing so many points for a defensive team. So at the end of the day, there's a misalignment in their identity. The identity is a defensive team with a defensive coach, but you're allowing over 120 points in your last 4 games. So it means that some things need to be improved. We all understand that they don't really have a true point guard on that team. But one thing you can say for sure is everybody on that team has played at an elite level within the last few years, and they have a coach that can always put them in a position to succeed. So those are some of the things that we want to see. Los Angeles Lakers are a very, very good team, but very volatile. I just heard that there's been an injury for Luka Doncic, and now it's going to be tough for LeBron James to carry that team alone. And the team was already doing well until Luka Doncic, especially with the game against the Clippers. Luka Doncic was playing very well until he was assisted out of the pitch because of the injury. Now, if that injury did not come, they would have gone ahead to win that match because even the Clippers are not playing at a very high level. But they lost that match at a very high margin with LeBron still playing. So it just shows that LeBron cannot be the only player at a star level. If Doncic is not healthy by postseason, then they cannot make any noise. Because the West is very, very tough, extremely tough. So look at Doncic is injured now, and they lost in a very terrible way to a Clippers team that is dead last, which is second to the last in the Western Conference. So it means that Doncic is the major engine of the team. What they just need to do is find a way to keep him healthy, so that in the postseason you're able to get him to explode. That's the only thing I see. Doncic is producing historic, assist impact. He's also producing historic points for the team. He's doing about 54.6 points created per game. So if you look at it well, is the defense is a bit shaky with 116.9, and they are 23rd best team in defense in the entire league. That's not good enough. It means that they have to produce more points to be able to still win close matches, especially when you are playing winning teams that are above 500. So Reeves' absence is going to expose the team's depth issues, and look at Doncic injuries as well. It's going to continue to affect them if they don't get it better. So I see this as an high variance team. It still has an experienced LeBron James on that team, but with the way it's going, they'll probably still need to find a way to balance their depth. Yeah, and make sure that they have a lot of people that can step up. If Luka Doncic is injured, you still need to be able to continue to fight in that journey and put yourself in better positions to win. Yeah, on my power ranking, number 8 is Boston Celtics. This team, as far as I'm concerned, they've overachieved. Not just even because of the fact that their best player is presently, rehabbing an ACL. The second part is the fact that the trades that they made, they lost a lot of good starters, good players. A lot of good players left, and right now, what I'm seeing is a team that is, because they've faced a lot of winning teams, and they are still one of the teams in the league that have faced the highest number of winning teams, and they've been able to get that out of the way. Now they are beginning to challenge. In my last power ranking, they were the team that I talked about that has significantly improved, and that's why I like what I'm seeing from them. They have been the most impressive team when it comes to facing difficult teams so far this season. Denver has done 8-2, which means they've won 8 and lost 2, versus winning teams. So Denver will be number 1 when you're looking at most impressive statistics against winning teams. Looking at Houston's inability to close games is still going to continue to be a challenge, and I hope that they are going to find a way to tackle that and get themselves out of this mess. That final third is still the problem for Houston. For Christmas Day watch, a couple of games that I'm going to, want people to just make a, close look at would be the OKC versus San Antonio Spurs. There's a small hidden rivalry happening there. I want people to watch out. There's more of a revenge narrative coming up for that match. Denver, Minnesota. This is a Western Conference team. They know each other well. They want to send a message with Minnesota now getting to, they are getting back to winning ways. Anthony Edwards is also playing at a very high level now, and they've won at least 2 of their last few matches, and they're already doing well. New York, Cleveland. These are 2 Eastern Giants. Cleveland was the Eastern Conference winner for last year. New York is the challenger for this year. So we want to kind of see what will happen. And the Knicks are chasing their third straight win within this period, very close to the Christmas. Lakers and Houston will be a Durant LeBron matchup again. This will be their 44th matchup since when Durant joined the league. And everybody wants to see what's going to happen. I don't know if Luka Doncic will be ready. He's still injured. He had a bit of a sprain, during the early Clippers match. Hopefully, we're able to see him come back and try to challenge a little bit more. However, if you're looking at all the segments and the rising threats so far, I try to just categorize them and put them in a small benchmark. For the Detroit team, I feel they are the most resilient team in the league, and nobody can take that disrespect away from them. They will also challenge in the East. Presently, that's why they are number one. So they are not a fluke and they are not a scrub team. Let's still see how it goes. So I've been able to come up with my top 10 teams on the power ranking, just to give you an idea of what's going to happen as it goes on. I like to say, take a chance, try something different. This is Taiwo Onajobi once again, your host, and this is 11:27 Mountain Standard Time. Say, try something new and God bless. Thank you.